Cabin B-13. From his notebooks of the strange and sinister, Dr. Fabian brings you tonight's tale of The Sleep of Death.
A circular bedroom, high in a castle tower, hung with rare tapestries, filled with a haunting atmosphere of witchcraft and death. The young American, Ned Whiteford, knew that for 200 years no person who had slept in that room had lived through the night. Whatever it was that killed left no trace. Would you, like Whiteford, have dared to rest your head there because you were in love?
From Cabin B-13, CBS brings you another great tale of mystery and murder, written by the world-famous best-selling mystery author John Dixon Carr, directed by John Dietz. Now, here's Mr. Carr's famous Dr. Fabian, ship surgeon and world traveler, to tell you tonight's tale, The Sleep of Death.
Ned Whiteford crossed with us to France aboard the Mauravania back in '38. He was looking forward to his new position at the American Embassy. He was young, and even war jittery Paris was a magic land to him. It was on St. Catherine's Day that Ned, unknowingly, made a decision that brought him to the threshold of unspeakable terror and death. And he made it in the midst of the gayest celebration Paris knew, the president's costume ball at the opera. Look at Ned now, wearing the uniform of one of Lafayette's officers. And look closely at the dark-haired young girl in costume, sitting across from him at the little table, half screened by the palms.
Ned, don't. Please, you mustn't.
Look here, Ileana. We've got to settle this thing. You've enjoyed being here tonight, haven't you?
Oh, Ned, I've loved it. After being hemmed in at my uncle's place in the country, well, it's like heaven.
All right. When I take you back to the hotel tonight, I'm going to face this dragon uncle of yours.
No, you mustn't.
I'm going to say that you and I intend to get married, and that's that.
I can't marry you, Ned. I told you that.
But why not? Give me just one good reason.
Because I can't. My uncle would never allow it.
And that seems to you a good enough reason?
Yes.
This uncle of yours, what's his name?
Count Stephen Kohard.
He's a Hungarian, I think you said.
Yes, so am I. My mother was an American.
What's he like, actually?
Well, he's a little eccentric. Ned.
What is it?
There he is now.
Your uncle?
Yes, the elegant man in plain evening clothes with the Order of the Golden Fleece across his chest.
I see him. He looks as black as a thundercloud.
Oh, give me my mask, quick, before he sees us.
No, Ileana.
Why not?
We'd better face this out now. Sit still.
Good evening, Ileana.
Good evening, Uncle Stephen. Uncle, may I present Ned Whiteford?
How do you do, sir?
How do you do? Ileana, do you think that costume is quite the thing to wear in public?
Why not?
An older generation might call it immodest. It looks like...
Like what?
Nothing. You go and get your cloak or your domino, whatever you wore here.
Uncle, please.
Do as I say.
Don't make me go home so soon. It's hardly 11 o'clock.
I was not asking you to go home, my dear. I was merely asking you to put on a wrap.
Oh, all right, I'll get it. You stay and talk to Ned.
I shall be delighted.
Will you sit down, sir?
Thank you. You seem to have had quite a gathering at this table.
Yes, some friends of mine from the embassy. They're upstairs dancing now.
Glasses, and still more glasses. I was quite an adept once at musical glasses.
Yes?
Have you ever tried it, young man?
No.
You take a spoon like this, and...
Forgive me, sir. There's something I'd like to ask you.
Yes, young man?
Exactly know how to say this, so I'd better say it in the shortest way. I want to marry your niece. Look out, sir. You've smashed one of the glasses.
Doubtless a few francs will pay for it. There are other things with a higher value, at least for me.
Well, maybe I ought to mention that I'm attached to the American Embassy here. That I have some money of my own and enough to support Ileana well.
Indeed.
I only mention at the show, well, that Ileana will be well provided for. The ambassador will vouch for me if you'd like to ring him up.
I ought to mention, I have always kept Ileana carefully guarded from the world.
Almost too carefully guarded, don't you think?
That, young man, depends on my reason.
I'm sorry again.
You have known Ileana how long?
A week.
A week. You would not choose a business partner in a week. Yet you want to marry Ileana a week after you meet her.
We know our own minds, sir.
And you know more than the wisest men of the world. However, as one whose dearest wishes Ileana's happiness...
I hope it is, Count Corey.
You doubt what I say?
Oh, no, sir. Go on.
Well, let me make you a counter-proposition. I own a chateau in Touraine, not far from Paris.
I know, Ileana told me.
And here's my suggestion. Why not come down and visit us for a week or two?
Well, that's very decent of you, sir.
Not at all. If at the end of that time you are not cured of this infatuation...
Well, it's not an infatuation. I swear it's not.
If at the end of that time you are not cured permanently of this feeling, you may take Ileana with my blessing. Is that fair?
It's more than fair, Count Corey. I don't know how to thank you.
Don't try. There is just one thing, however.
Yes, sir?
At the Chateau d'Azay, there's a certain bedroom. We call it the tapestry room.
Yes?
I assure you it will be very interesting to sleep in that room.
Why? Is it haunted or anything like that?
Not exactly haunted. And now, if you don't mind, I shall say good night. I think I can trust you to bring Ileana safely to the hotel.
Yes.
In the meantime, look there.
What is it now?
Those streams of our fellow guests pouring down the main staircase. Shapes of nightmare. Shapes of delirium. Insane, dead masks where only the eyes move. Mightn't you be terrified, perhaps, if you could look behind those masked gargoyle faces?
No, I don't think so. They're only ordinary people like ourselves.
That's, where you make your mistake. I shall expect you for the weekend. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Ned. Ned.
It's all right, Ileana. You can come out from behind the palms.
What was my uncle saying? I couldn't hear.
Ileana, it couldn't be better. He's a very decent old boy, actually. And he's invited me to the Chateau d'Azay.
Did he say anything about the tapestry room?
Yes, he asked me if I'd mind sleeping there.
And you said?
I said I would, naturally.
You mustn't do it, Ned. I won't let you do it.
Why the devil not?
Because everybody who sleeps in that room dies.
Are you serious?
Ned, please don't do it.
Nonsense. A lot of superstitions about every old house.
This isn't a superstition, Ned. It happened once when I was a little girl. A man insisted on sleeping there. They found him dead in the morning.
So? How did he die?
They don't know. There wasn't a mark on his body. He wasn't shot, or stabbed, or strangled, or poisoned, or hurt in any way. He was just dead.
2 nights later, in the part of France once called La Touraine, the wind moans down the valleys, and rain flickers across the apple trees, and thunder stirs in those haunted hills. It brings small comfort to a young man driven in an ancient carriage from the railway station along snake-like roads and leading to what destination? Ahead, a flash of lightning shows the gray walls and conical slate-roofed towers of a chateau set some distance back from the road. Light shines from its narrow windows, dimly seen through the rain.
Driver, coachman.
Yes, monsieur.
Is that the Chateau d'Azay up ahead?
Yes, monsieur. I will take you to the very door
If what? Why do you cross yourself?
if I am permitted.
What should stop you?
Only fear, monsieur. I am not much afraid. Hish, hish.
What was that?
Only the dogs, monsieur. They keep many dogs, large dogs at the Chateau d'Azay.
Those dogs dangerous? They have to fly at anybody who goes to the front door?
I cannot say, monsieur. But I should advise you to make haste.
Here's your money.
No, thank you. Good night, monsieur. And if one so humble as myself may be permitted a word of advice,
Yes?
beware of the tapestry room.
You are Edward Whitefoot?
Yes.
Monsieur is expected. Please to enter. Monsieur's hat and coat?
Thank you.
Ned,
Hello, Ileana.
Nombre pas, ma petite. Come on.
you'd better not kiss me, Ned. Madame Flay says to look out for my uncle. She's our housekeeper.
Where's your uncle now?
In the drawing room. Come along.
Ileana, is anything wrong?
Everything's wrong. 2 of my dogs were in horrible pain this afternoon. Dr. Solomon had to put them out with chloroform.
You don't think...
I hope nobody's practicing, that's all. Here we are.
Nice tiger skins on the floor. I say, who's that little old man with a gray beard sitting over by the fire?
That's Dr. Solomon.
That funny-looking eyes.
He watches and watches and watches. But he's an old friend of the family. Shh. Come on, let's get this over with.
Ah, my young friend. Welcome to the Chateau d'Azay.
Thank you, Count Corey.
You must be very wet after your long drive. Go up to the fire and warm yourself.
Thank you.
Madame Flay,
Yes, monsieur.
please tell Antoine to take our guest's luggage up to the tapestry room.
The tapestry room, monsieur?
That is what I said, Madame Flay.
Yes, monsieur.
An odd coincidence, Mr. Whitefield. Dr. Solomon and I were just discussing the fate of the last person who slept in the tapestry room.
This is not good, my friend. This is against my advice.
Here, Dr. Solomon croaking.
This is not good, I tell you. It is the wrong season of the moon.
Moon? But there's no moon tonight. It's raining cats and dogs.
Don't talk about dogs. Nevertheless, it is the wrong season of the moon. I say no more.
Cheerful man, that doctor.
Don't do it, Ned. I won't be responsible if they make you do it.
But look here, Count Corey. What did happen to the last fellow who slept in the tapestry room?
You must not call him a fellow, young man. He was a very saintly gentleman. The Bishop of Tours. That was some time ago. Eliana was only 15 years old. But surely she must remember it.
I remember it.
The church said our bishop has no use for superstitions. He insisted on sleeping there. I made him as comfortable as possible. But he was found dead the next morning with a crucifix still in his hand.
Was it poison?
There was no poison, monsieur.
Here, Dr. Solomon.
It's true, Ned.
There were just 2 curious things in connection with the death, Mr. Whitefoot. On the mantelpiece was found burning a stick of incense. Ordinary incense, nothing wrong with it.
Yes, sir.
And under the dressing table, the police found an empty jar of ointment. Now come, use your detective wits. A dead man and some burning incense and an empty jar of ointment. What do you make of that?
I don't make anything of it. Is there any Reason for this story of death?
Reason?
Any legend attached to the room or something like that?
Yes, there is.
Well, sir?
They're a very old family, my friend. Old and perhaps accursed. When certain of my ancestors moved from Hungary to France in the 17th century, they brought certain beliefs with them. The old religion.
The old religion?
Yes, the cult of Diana. The witch cult, if you prefer.
Now, look here, sir.
Must we talk about this?
Ah, you smile. When I say the word witch, Mr. Whiteford, you think of some humorous picture on a Halloween card. It was very different in the Middle Ages, believe me. There were many to worship unashamed at the grand Sabbath, to receive all favors from Satan, their master, to dance forever joyously in the red quadrilles of the netherworld. Some 200 years ago, an ancestress of mine, Catherine Cohery, was tortured to death in the tapestry room for professing the old religion. Many persons have not thought it safe to sleep there since. Are you answered?
Come, sir, this is some kind of elaborate joke.
Joke? The Bishop of Tours did not find it a joke.
Not a mark on his body. I assure you, as a physician, not a mark on his body.
You hear, Dr. Solomon?
I hear him.
Understand me, my boy. There's no compulsion in this. If you had not the nerve to sleep in that room...
Who says I haven't got the nerve?
You're weakening. I think I can see it in your face.
Would you like to make a little bet on that?
What sort of bet?
If I spend the night in this famous room and come out of it alive...
Go on.
Will you give your consent to the marriage immediately? Tomorrow morning?
Why tomorrow morning?
Because I don't think the atmosphere of this place is good for Ileana. What do you say? Will you do it?
Very well, my boy. I accept the terms of your wager.
Don't do it, Ned. For the love of heaven, don't do it.
High up in the north tower of the Chateau d'Azay, under the conical slate roof, is the circular room hung with faded tapestries. These tapestries move slightly, with uneasy, mimic life, to the clamor of the storm outside. Candles burn along the mantelpiece, and beside the great four-poster bed. The flames of these candles waver, too, as the door opens.
This is the tapestry room, monsieur.
Thank you, Madame Flay.
That is the mantelpiece where the incense burned. That is the bed where Monsignor, the bishop, died.
Very inviting, isn't it?
Will there be anything else that monsieur requires? Some sandwiches? A decanter of whiskey?
No, thanks. I had a drink with Count Corey before I came upstairs.
Very well, monsieur. Monsieur's shaving water will be brought up in the morning, if he requires it. Good night.
Infernal old harpy. Trying to scare a fellow out of his wits just because... Oh, built a good fire anyway. I didn't realize how cold it was. What's that?
It's I, Ileana. May I come in?
No, Ileana. I don't want you exposed to whatever it is.
Ned, listen. Are you going to bed or are you going to sit up all night?
I'm going to sit up all night, naturally.
Then let me sit up with you.
No.
Why not?
First, because it may be dangerous. Second, because I promised your uncle I'd go through this alone.
Oh, I wish you hadn't had that drink with him.
Couldn't have done anything to it. You poured it.
Yes, that's true, only...
It was only one of the dogs.
No. Sounded like somebody walking. Inside the wall of this room. Don't you hear it?
By George, it is somebody walking inside the wall. Get behind that tapestry, Ileana. Quick. Hurry.
All right.
Count Corey! Where did you come from?
Forgive me, my boy, for seeming to appear out of the wall and between the tapestries, like Mephisto appearing to Faust. This red dressing gown perhaps adds to the effect.
How did you get here? A passage between the walls?
Exactly. A little device of my ancestors for visiting this room when its occupant was so unmannerly as to bolt the door.
The door's not bolted. You could have walked straight in.
But I could not have done it unobserved.
No, maybe not.
Have you had any other visitors, my boy?
No,
You're sure of that?
quite sure.
And since nobody saw me come here, I'll just sit down by the fire. Please sit opposite me.
Is this the showdown, sir?
I don't understand you.
There's got to be a showdown between us. Is that why you're here?
I am here, young man, to explain certain things to you. So will you have a cigarette? You're not doped. That's what you're afraid of.
I'll have one. Yes,
Good. Right?
thank you.
When I was discussing the witch cult a while ago, you did not appear to think I meant what I said.
Do you want a perfectly frank answer to that?
Yes.
I think you're mad enough to mean anything.
What you say, in a sense, is quite true. In an old and inbred family like ours, the mind can crack, and the fantasies of witchcraft become as real, more real, than the living world. Let me give you an example.
Go on.
The saucer on the table beside you is Ming porcelain. It was once owned by Catherine Corley, a martyr of the old religion. Yet you're using it as an ashtray.
I beg the witch lady's pardon. I'll blow off the ash.
A dangerous remark, sir. Don't you understand that to a sick brain which knows but can't help itself, you have profaned this room merely by entering it? Therefore you deserve to die?
Like the Bishop of Tours?
Exactly.
You're not going to tell me the devil killed him.
The devil's agent may be flesh and blood.
Then it was murder.
Of course it was murder. Murder so cunningly contrived that no one ever saw through it.
Go on.
I asked you before to use your detective wits on this problem. Incense was burned in this room. Why?
Suppose you tell me.
Obviously, I think to conceal something else which would be too easily noticed.
To conceal what?
The smell of chloroform.
Chloroform.
Yes. A drug not well understood by laymen. Dr. Solomon was using chloroform this afternoon to dispose of some dogs.
So I've heard.
Dr. Solomon is old and forgetful.
You mean chloroform could be stolen?
It could be, easily. Now just suppose, I take a pad saturated with chloroform. I place it over the mouth and nostrils of a man already sleeping, or drugged, so that he gets no other air.
Wait a minute. That won't do.
Why not?
Chloroform burns and blisters when it touches the skin. You'd leave marks.
Not at all, my friend. Not at all, if I first covered the mouth and nostrils with some substance, like...
Ointment.
You're waking up. Now observe what follows. In a few seconds, unconsciousness. In 2 minutes, 3 minutes...
Certain death. Yes.
But chloroform, it evaporates. Delay your post-mortem for 24 hours. It's a very easy matter in these country districts. And no trace remains in the blood. Murder without a mark, my friend. Murder without a mark.
There's just one thing you're forgetting, Count Corey.
What's that?
I'm not sleeping. And I'm not drugged.
Oh, yes. You are?
In the cigarette?
No. In the drink you had with me.
What was it?
Morphine. You've had enough to put 3 men to sleep. That's it. Try to get up.
I'll try. And I'll do it.
You've knocked over the fire iron. You'd have been in the fire yourself if I hadn't caught you.
Take your hands off me.
Just as you please.
If I could reach that bell, pull.
You can't. Let us sit down again.
You murdering lunatic. So that's how you killed the Bishop of Tours. And that's how you're going to kill me.
I? You don't think I killed the Bishop of Tours?
Didn't you?
You young fool. I'm not trying to kill you. I'm trying to save you. Dr. Solomon.
Yes, Monsieur Lecoq.
Come out from behind that secret door. Come out and be my witness.
Yes, Monsieur. I shall always guard the family honor, even when I guess how men die.
This young man evidently thinks I've been talking about myself. Am I, in the popular parlance, mad?
Oh, heaven forbid, Monsieur. I have never known a saner man.
Have you any notion, Mr. Whitefoot, why I brought you to this house? You would not have believed me if I had merely told you. So I had to bring you here and show you.
Show me? What?
Come out from there, please. Come out!
Ileana!
Why have I kept Ileana so well guarded from the world? Why, at a fancy dress ball, did I object to the costume of a medieval witch? Whose dogs were poisoned so that chloroform should be brought? Who poured you the drink drugged with morphine?
In the devil's name! What are you trying to tell me?
Ileana. She has been hopelessly insane for more than 10 years.
And so ends my story, The Sleep of Death, a tale which may give uneasy moments to those of you who may be inclined to fall in love at first sight. Next week I shall tell you a story that many of you have asked me to tell again. It's the adventure of an easygoing, straightforward New York detective who followed a beautiful murder suspect to Port Said, the crossroads of crime, and who learned that duels are still fought with swords as well as with 38s. And so, next week, when I tell you this tale I call The Dancer from Stamboul, will you join me, Dr. Fabian, here in my cabin B-13?
From Cabin B-13, CBS has brought you another strange and sinister tale of mystery and murder, written by the world-famous best-selling author John Dixon Carr and directed by John Deep. Arnold Moss is featured as Dr. Fabian, and in tonight's drama, Cliff Carpenter appeared as Ned Whiteford, Janice Gilbert played Ileana, and Peter Capell appeared as Count Corey. The music for Cabin B-13 is especially composed and conducted by Alfredo Antonini. Join us again next week, same time, same station, for Dr. Fabian's tale, The Dancer from Stamboul. Just for fun, make a New Year's resolution to keep on listening to CBS on Sunday nights next year. Otherwise, you'll miss all the fun Jack Benny brings for next Sunday, January 2nd. Marks the day Jack moves here to CBS with all his crew, Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, all the rest. From next Sunday on, the Jack Benny Show will come to you exclusively over these CBS stations. The time, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.